Take it away, mate.
Yeah, it's on me. Take it away. All right, we're back here again. Episode 6.
Yeah, 6.
I reckon.
6.
Yeah, another beautiful day. We are starting to transition out of
Winter.
the Perth winter into beautiful spring season, and it is turning it on. And what a lovely juxtaposition that is to the phase that we're starting to head into towards racing and competition. Vibes are starting to lift, momentum's starting to build, and the excitement's starting to build in the team. How you doing, Lukey? Tell me.
I haven't shaved my legs yet, so I'm still in winter. I'm still in winter mode. Yeah, not bad. Look, I would say probably a bit of an up and down week, mainly down, I would say, which I'm sure we might talk about and get into. But as you said, we're kind of heading into that phase now. We're about 4.5, 5-ish weeks out from World Day, from the major event, and this is the time where the fruits of the labour start to bear their fruit, or at least you hope that is the case, and we start to see a lot of positive things and signs, and we start to get more of that momentum shift and a lot of that stuff that we've discussed in the past around just building momentum and generating that evidence to kind of show that yes, everything that we have done is kind of like heading in the right direction. Yesterday's track session was a good marker of that. But yeah, I think we're starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm, which is really good.
Yeah, I think the evidence is starting to see some evidence like that is always massive and always really helpful in a moment like that. I've just been crook as a dog in the last couple of days, as you can probably hear in my voice, but to come out still not feeling 100% and then start to see objectively things moving in the direction that we want them and need them to be heading in for us to achieve what we set out to achieve, always starts to put us in a good position. And I think like at times we can be like kicking that big boulder of momentum and it doesn't move. Whereas when we see something like yesterday, it starts to move and it's not stopping now. So we can really use that as a really solid platform to build off.
Yeah, it definitely, at least for me, it's the start of it rolling at this point. It's like, okay, cool, it's rolling. Let's keep it going, keep it building. And even, normally whenever we sit down and do this, we kind of have some idea. Today we both had nothing kind of on our minds. There has been a lot on my mind, probably things that I can discuss at a later date or later topics, or whether I do my own thing at some point. But I guess from us, normally we'll sit down, we kind of go, okay, what's been on our mind a couple of days before, and then we kind of discuss and play with ideas. And we were just chatting before we turned the camera on that you were talking around that accelerator phase of like when to push and when not to push. And I guess that's where we're going to discuss a little bit today, which I guess we will both have some very good insights, and I think also both have very different views on the prep and where we both are individually and how we both are collectively in regards to that.
Yeah. It's like we were talking and touching on before, we didn't really have a set plan of what we're coming in to talk about today, considering where things are at. But I think, to me, what's been highlighted over the last year are those phases of willpower. And to me, after Paris, a big goal of mine was to try and find a bit of a balance with training and life, because I think in the lead into Paris, as you do for such a major competition, you're in full 110% optimization mode for a significant amount of time leading into the event, and that's what it takes. That's what it takes to be at your best, and it only comes once every 4 years, so it makes total sense. However, a big goal of mine early cycle soul nourishment for that first little bit, and really making sure that I planned the phasing of willpower, because if I didn't plan things out, it can lead to, once again, smacking the rev limiter all year long, because that for us is easy for us to do. It's easy for us to really push, but it's also important that we at times we can have something like training kind of bubbling away in the background, and then other areas be focused on as well. And for me, I've found that that's really helped to be able to hit that accelerator again now leading into it, because now we know we're really in that periodized phase of willpower where the optimization is at 110%, building towards the goal, which is racing in 5 weeks' time.
So I'm hearing more balance, and that's kind of what you've been aiming towards. What has that actually looked like? Because the thing is, the nature that we do, the sport, everything we do is intense and maximum intensity. If you're in the gym, you're pushing as hard as you can. You're at the track, every effort is 100% of whatever you've got on the day. So what does the difference say 10 weeks ago versus now? What does that look like in terms of day-to-day and structure? Because your output's arguably the same. It's just the bits and pieces around that, I guess, is what is varying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an intense kind of bloke, mate, and that's why sprinting is great, because it is an expression of that intensity. And I think what has been different over the last 12 months is, where am I going to apply my intensity? Is it going to be applied in my career, building relationships with friends, taking on new responsibilities and new challenges, all while the intensity remains high in the training, but some of those other little 1% optimizations that were taking away from other areas of life were kind of pulled back just a little bit. So I think that's what it had looked like in the last little bit. And then as we begin to focus and transition into turning 100% of that intensity towards the goal and the target, which is racing, it means taking on less of those other responsibilities and being very, I'd say, cautious about where the energy is expended in life, because I always want to do everything, and I always want to support wherever I can, but it's important that we're aware of the impact that that intensity can have on other areas. If I'm really pushing too hard in an area like my career, it's going to have a profound impact on performance if the intensity is too high there. Same as in the training, right? If at this phase the intensity of the training was too high, it would inevitably have an impact on the performance because of fatigue and all of that as well. So it's definitely about managing the intensity and kind of being able to say no as well to other things that are happening, and being able to solely focus for the next little bit through there.
Stress is stress. The body can't really differentiate the difference between a psychological and a physical stress. Like it presents differently and you express it differently. However, on the system, it's still stress, and that's what you can stress your body from taking on too much and being potentially, some people are very too much of just hyper aware, and they take on all the world's problems, and that kind of leads to chronic fatigue and stress and those kinds of things. So particularly in this stage when we do need to push so much, if you compound that on top with extra external life factors, it does add up significantly. And what you do commonly see is that when you kind of finish racing, that's when sickness and illness comes in, because your body has a chance to go, whoa, like chill out. Like you've had your foot flat to the floor for far too long. And I think, again, finding that balance, but that comes with experience as well. And like you knowing that, okay, in off season, foot to the floor in training, relaxed around outside stuff. In prep, foot to the floor with training, take a backward step, take a bit of a sacrifice with the social stuff, which we all do as athletes. We all have to make sacrifices, and I guess the reward at the end of it is greater than the initial short-term sacrifice. Yeah. Whereas where that gets tricky is when it flips and it's not necessarily, it no longer is worth the sacrifice. Like that's the balance point. It's hard to try and find and navigate, which we're constantly doing all the time. And also knowing within yourself, okay, at what point do I go, all right, I flick the switch and I can fully live that life and do that thing. And for each person, it might be different. For you, that might be 8 weeks out. For me, that might be 4 weeks out, or vice versa. Or for other athletes, it's different things, because they have different stresses and external fatigue, or external factors, or they have more social things. They've got a different job where they need to be more involved with people, that they do need to maybe pull back a little bit early because they spend too much time being empathetic and involved in other people's worlds and going on to their well-being, and not necessarily looking after themselves. And that's kind of where, you've got the foresight from lived last year's experience, and kind of, okay, this is what I can manage, and you're just going to keep refining that and keep tweaking that.
Yeah, but for me, like what I find profound is that this skill set goes beyond our benchmark event. The skill set goes beyond the result at the end of the day. And I know that all of these skill sets are applicable in all areas of life as well, because there's going to be a point where I'm no longer riding around in circles for fun anymore, and the intensity turns to something else, like the career. And that's when that same skill set is applied, where if I'm in a really crucial project at work or something like that, you might be grinding out 12-hour days or something like that. But as long as there's that awareness of, okay, this is the time that I'm really pushing and optimizing for performance, but there is that end goal in mind, to be able to let your foot off the gas just a little bit and be able to have that recovery and balance to be able to get fired up again and be able to go again. Because if we don't plan and don't structure it out really well throughout say a whole year, that's where problems come up, where we burn out, compassion fatigue, take on too many problems. And I think during a phase like this, it also links in with stoicism, which we've talked about a lot, where it's like we're able to really control what is controllable in that setting, and then completely let go of the rest, so that we can begin to focus on the elements of what we need to do that we can focus on, and then completely let go of everything else around it.
Yeah, letting go of the things that don't serve you a purpose in this phase is important. It's something I've definitely learnt this week. Even just thinking around what you were discussing then, around learning when to take things on and when not. I think of when I was even a younger kid, I knew that I only had so much bandwidth to kind of handle a lot of things on my plate. And for me at the time, sport was a priority, which then meant, okay, everything not necessarily came second, but like my priority was here, then everything outside of that kind of fell in its own pecking order. That if I was to go study, have a job, and do sport, I know that the sport would have been the thing that I would have had to eventually sacrifice to facilitate the other things. So I go, okay, well, I can't manage all that. This is what I want to do. So then these are the avenues where I put my time and attention. And then as you grow and get older, you can handle more. We discussed in the last episode, the most challenging thing is the most challenging thing you will ever face. So at that time, once you kind of build up that tolerance, you can then put more things onto your plate. You can then handle more. However, it's having that awareness and understanding, one, of yourself, of when you can put that on your plate versus not. And also knowing when to pull back and when to push, which is where we're at through right now.
Yeah, it's like training in the gym, right? Like building that skill set of willpower. Your drawing back and finding balance might have once been your 110% optimization phase, because you've built your capacity to be able to handle load.
Yeah, definitely. And even, like I said, like just learning this week as well, for me, is to pull back a little bit more, because I almost want it too much. Then comes extra stresses and pressures put on top of what is already a stressful and pressure situation. So just learning for me at the moment, just to kind of disassociate a little bit with some things going on, and just external, not necessarily even external factors, just where I put my self-worth and what I attach this phase to, being like foot flat to the floor, very much as performance in times, and learning to go, okay, I can do all that. However, I need to pull back in this area because it is having a negative detriment to everything else that's kind of going on. So I still go foot flat to the floor, but I kind of will disassociate in certain things, but then also take on other things which I know give me energy to then help the overall performance.
Yeah, it's constantly refining that phase. And I think it's important that we're always looking at these things through the lens of personal growth, and going, maybe how I did it last year or the year before was totally different to how I'm doing it this time. But it's all taking what you've learned from previous times that you've been here and going, well, how can I maybe make these minor adjustments to be able to make progress?
That comes with just the experience of time and having that awareness. Because even just as you were talking, I was thinking of when you first started your journey. You used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes to go to gym, do gym, like a couple-hour gym session before work a full day, come back and then do an ergo session. It's like at the time you're able to do it, whereas if you were to do that now, leading into Worlds, you'd be like, absolutely no way
Yeah.
could I do that, because I know that it's not serve me well.
Oh.
However, you also have the luxury now that you don't need to
Yeah.
do that. You've earned the right to have more of that free time that you can
Yeah.
express more towards your goals.
Yeah. But I think being able to look back on a period like that is like, and then practice gratitude of that and really respect those moments of going, this is where I was and this is where I've built my capacity to get to with where I've been. If I can do it then, I can do it at any time. Is basically where my thoughts end up, is going, if I can be up at 3 in the gym, do a full day at work and then go and do ergo, I can do this single session day where I've slept in till 7:30 and stop whinging, mate, because it's all
sleep until 7:30.
because it's all good. Yeah, oh mate, some days my brain turns on at 6 and it's like, yep, you're on, and I'm like, okay, time to get up.
Way to go.
So yeah,
No, very good.
intensity, as I said, mate. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Foot flat to the floor right now.
foot flat to the floor right now, but knowing that once we pass the benchmark, we know that we're going to pull things back and be able to nourish the soul as well,
That's important.
and rephase the willpower, because we know we're going to go again, and it's like, to be able to recharge and be able to give the most during this phase is important to look at the big plan holistically.
Absolutely. Which I guess is where I had struggles at the start of the year, was that we inevitably had to maybe go a little bit more foot flat to the floor than was originally planned, and like outside of the original structure, and thinking, okay, this is the time to kind of go a bit more foot flat to the floor, whereas at the start of the year, I wasn't really ready for that. So it's just, wasn't able to handle that at that point. Whereas now it's like, okay, the work's been done, a bit more control, a bit more awareness. All right, let's kind of go, let's charge. And as you said, that ball is rolling. It will keep rolling and only get faster and faster.
Oh yeah.
And
We're going to be talking about that boulder of momentum. Boulder, ball,
Yeah.
whatever, something that gains momentum.
Two
Yeah.
bike wheels, mate.
Is that?
2 bike wheels.
Yeah, bike wheels. I guess that's relevant to the sport that we do, isn't it,
A
mate?
little bit, yeah. RPM.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
All right.
Anything else you want to chat about?
Nah, I think that was bloody sensational, mate.
We'll come up with something. We'll be a bit more prepared next time, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. No, we love a chat, but feel free, slap something in the comments if there's anything you want us to have a yarn about, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Very good.
Yeah.
Deload week, and then the one after that will be in Brazil.
Nah.
Yeah.
Oh, so we've got.
Oh, maybe not. No. I speak wrongly. No, we're not. Not quite.
Yeah, but hey, we're getting ready.
We are getting ready.
All right.
See ya.
See you soon. Nice.
Good one.
Sweet.